Hi everyone, I'm Craig Fishbein. I'm a state representative for the 90th District, and I'm very proud to be here today to read some books to you for Read America Day. Something very important to me, and the reading is very important. The two books, the first book I want to read to you today is called An Island Called Liberty, and that's written by Joseph Spetch. And I'm going to show you the pictures after I read each page, because this is a really interesting book and I want to get all the words right. There once was an island called Liberty, where people lived happy and free. Life was not perfect, as anyone could see, but the islanders made it the best it could be. See, there's the island, there's the flag, Liberty flag. Some islanders rode bicycles, some drove in cars, some dressed quite drably, some loudly in stars. Some drank sea punch and some smoked cigars. Some spent their cash freely, some saved it in jars. They didn't always like the style of so-and-so's brothers, but they knew they had no right to dictate the actions of others. As for island laws, there were only two. First, do all that you've promised to others you do. Law number 2 is of equal authority. The pursuit of your happiness can be your utmost priority. But while you are free to do what you do, you must allow for the freedom that others have too. And while you are free to try out your wings, you must never cause harm to your peers or their things. See, here's the town, and here's some of the people on the island. Their laws worked quite well and avoided much trouble, and let the islanders go to their jobs on the double. You see, the people of Liberty worked very hard, and they earned the occasion to relax in their yard. The signs of their labor were not hard to be found. They had factories and offices and stores all around. As hard as they worked, there were some who could not. An old grandmother, perhaps, or a tot. Others were injured, infirmed, or got sick, making independence the trickiest trick. But all was not lost for those struggling souls, since caring for others fits our islander goals. Whether brother or mother or neighbor next door, when tough times come calling, we'll help all the more. Some helped a little, some helped a lot, but help there would be for a friend in a spot. You see, here's some of the people. The market and the hardware store. They're delivering a turkey. Somebody helping grandma. Then on a day in a year not too long ago came a pronouncement from Compassionate Flow. It's unfair, she cried, that our help is not even. We must all give the same. Make it even, Stephen. As Flo gave her speech, the wisdom they saw, so quickly the islanders passed a new law. You see, here's Flo. She's on her box of oranges, talking to all the people in the town and on the island. In their new law, they would each pay a tax, equal by count, to provide to the needy a helpful amount. To run the new plan, they established a board, and they hired new workers to manage the hoard. From each family business, from each little county, they hired one worker to distribute the bounty. On another day, in a year not too long ago, came another pronouncement, this one from Mo. While our schools, he said, are typically quite good, they're not quite the same in each neighborhood. We need a newfangled Bureau of Schools to pick the same books and make the same rules. So here's the townspeople paying their tax. Here's Mo. He's also on another box. Flo is on a box of oranges. Mo's on a box of apples. He's talking about this new law. The Islanders cared for their kids and their schooling, so the Bureau of Schools made quick with its ruling. To run the new plan was a right hefty task. So again from each village, the Bureau did ask, send us your best and your brightest, one worker each, to support the supporters that teach teachers to teach. And to run the new plan and let payroll get paid. On each working Islander, a new tax was laid. On another day in a year, not too long ago, came another pronouncement, this one from Joe. While we have many roads from point A to point B, we cannot get quickly from city to sea. We need a new island system of state-to-state highways, instead of our setup of rinky-dink byways. It could take us from village to town to city. We plan it and build it and make it quite pretty. You see, here's the Islanders paying their school tax, and there's Joe. He's on another box. He's on a box of lemons. And here's all the people listening to him. So a new tax was made to fund the new roads, and more workers were hired to move the truckloads. And so it went on for year after year. Ideas were brought up for all folks to hear. Each good one was used for a new island agency, and many were formed with the greatest of urgency. One after one, like working with tools, they made bureaus and programs and great books of rules. They created the island retirement plan and started an unsafe baby toy ban. They set up a program for medical care and funded vast research on the home of the hare. You see, here's all the village people coming to pay their tax. Here's all the rules and laws that are stacking up. They made new rules for houses and housing, flag burning and improper spousing. They wrote up restrictions for this and for that. They even wrote diets to limit your fat. If results ever differed from the goal that they saw, they'd form a review board to find out the flaw. When programs worked poorly or just didn't work, they'd set up a task force to hunt down the shirk. See, here's more island people. They're talking about the rules, and the police officer is making sure they're following the rules. Here's the review board. They don't look too happy, do they? Lots of review boards on the island now. Each fix they fixed cost more and more money and time. So they increased the taxes dime after dime, slowly at first and then at quick pace. Merchants were closing all over the place. As taxes were boosted to pay for the fat, they said, we must shut our stores. We have no choice but that. You see, here's more people. They're paying, taxes are going up. All these stores are closing. Amidst all the chaos was bright Bridget Logic, whose forte was making widgets and wadgets. With cookies and caramel and fudge in the cracks, Bridget's widgets and wadgets were the most favored snacks. But running her stores got tougher each day, as the boards and bureaus lured workers away. Worse even still, with all their tax payments, she could not afford to pay new replacements. You see, here's Bridget's factory. They're making widgets and wadgets. She's getting a report here. She's going to pay her taxes too, but she's finding it difficult. As more of them closed, one business remained. Bridget's Widgets was open, but really quite strained. With no other business to share in the tax, Bridget's Widgets and Wadgets ran at the max. But Bridget was sturdy in mind and in heart, and stated quite strongly, "I'll do more than my part. I'll work round the clock, all night and all day, cooking, baking, and slaving away." Faster she worked and faster she toiled, keeping the gears of the company oiled. Faster and faster again, working like 5 men, then maybe 10. Here's Bridget. She's at her factory. She's doing a lot of the work herself, trying to balance all those boxes. And this gentleman is putting widgets and wadgets in boxes. She looks tired, doesn't she? But as quick as she worked, no matter how snappy, she was unable to keep the tax counters happy. Despite all of her effort to win at this war, poor Bridget Logic could not give any more. She gave all her effort, every last bit, but finally defeated, she upped and she quit. "I'm closing my shops, my dozens of stores. I'm packing my things to leave Liberty's shores." With Bridget now gone and other businesses long ceased, gone was the cash that fed the tax beast. And since the tax paid the income most workers now made, the loss of the tax would leave payroll unpaid. See, here's Bridget. She's packed her bag. She's leaving the island. All the stores are closed. Nobody's there to pay the taxes anymore. When the next payday came and no paychecks were there, the island of islanders went into despair. They panicked at first, then slowed down quite fast, shocked and dismayed that their system had crashed. With the best of intentions largely at fault, the bureaus and programs came to a halt. But islanders are strong and resilient too, and spent little time feeling defeated and blue. They went back to their old jobs in 1s, 2s, and 10s, then making the things on which a strong island depends. See, here's the Bureau of Schools. And this gentleman's saying he doesn't have any money, his pockets are empty. The stores are starting to open again, though. See, this is now open, grand opening. We're doing our duty, what we thought was right. A mistake we did made, but now we see the light. We can't all survive on the efforts of one, or the good we attempt all adds up to none. We must all work our jobs and add some production, and not be so fooled by collective seduction. We'll offer our help on a much smaller scale instead of bureaucracies that most often fail. After some time the old days returned. As hard as it was, the lesson was learned. But don't think that such lessons live on forever. You see, despite that their kids were outstandingly clever, the lesson they learned from way back when eventually faded, and it happened again. See, it seems like people are happy because the stores are open. I don't see anybody with empty pockets. And this young man is helping Grandma. And that's the end of that book. I hope you liked that book. Once again, that's called An Island Called Liberty. And the next book that I have for you is called The Book of Mistakes. And this is written by Karina Lukin. This book has a lot of pictures. Just want to warn you. Pictures are good though. It started with one mistake. Making the eye even bigger was another mistake. glasses. That was a good idea. The elbow and the extra long neck, mistakes. But the collar, ruffled, with patterns of lace and stripes, that was a good idea. And the elbow patches, they were a good idea too. The bush was another good idea. Dark and leafy, so that you couldn't see through it. To the frog, cat, cow thing, another mistake. See that? It's a frog, cat, cow. The big space between the ground and the bottom of the girl's shoe was a little bit of a mistake too. But the roller skates, definitely not a mistake. The second frog, cat, cow thing made a very nice rock. And the girl with the very long leg, she looks like she's always meant to be climbing that tree. First time I looked at this, I didn't even see her. She sort of blends in there, doesn't she? Even the ink smudges scattered across the sky look as if they could be leaves, like they always wanted to be lifted up and carried. And what about the girl? I just want to show you the difference between this one and this one. It's got the splotch back there. And now the splotch has become a hair bonnet. She's got a yellow balloon. Lots of yellow balloons. Wow, there's so much going on here. I got yellow balloons down here, and we got a tent up in a tree, and appears to be some sort of a basket with a cat, cow, frog in it, maybe. A ladder. And these guys are climbing up here. There's a balloon back there. Wow, even more here. There's a bunch of green balloons, pink balloons. There's another balloon, and somebody's on a unicycle. And there's the girl with all the yellow balloons. Do you see? How with each mistake she is becoming do you see? Now see, everything is in here. All those mistakes Now, do you see who she could be? I just want to show you, see the picture here? And go all the way back to the picture at the beginning. It's the same. So all those mistakes is actually a drawing of the girl who was making the drawing. Interesting. And that is the Book of Mistakes. I want to thank you for letting me come and read to you today, by video, of course. As I mentioned before, Read Across America is an important program. Hope you read lots of books over the coming year. And I look to see you in person, perhaps next year. I'm State Representative Craig Fishbein, and I want to thank you for this opportunity. Have a good day.